welcome back. Thank you for taking your time to talk with us today about
Yep. Yep.
this spring and summer practice. So we're going to be talking to three, maybe four players later. First, talk to us about Deontay Vines and what he brings to the team.
Yeah. Deontay's an experienced guy. He has good speed, good toughness. I think we saw in the spring he's able to make contested catches, and while he's not maybe the tallest guy, he still has good size and good strength to be able to make contested catches on the outside. I think he could really probably play inside or out. So that versatility is good. I thought in the spring he did a nice job of kind of understanding the scheme and that sort of thing. So excited to see what he's able to do this year.
Now, route running it's a very hard thing in this offense to
Mhm.
kind of grasp. Does he have experience in his prior offense with that, or
No, he doesn't, but I think that's why this spring was so important, being able to get that. And then you can see his, even from when he first got here to just even the last couple of days, you can see the improvement and where he feels comfortable and going from there.
all right? Next up, Chris Trinidad.
Yeah, Chris done a great job. He's really, over the course of his career here, has really changed his body and got bigger and stronger. He's probably the biggest and strongest that he's ever been since he's been here. Really seen some, great work ethic from him. Um, so I'm excited to see what he's going to do this year. He seems really, really focused on the finer details, as do the entire defensive line. And so I think, he gives us a guy who can, play the run well, but still be able to put pressure on the quarterback from the outside.
And then, or Denzel Lowry.
Denzel's, one of the leaders of our team. He's got a great energy, loves playing the game of football. I think that's really important. I mean, he just loves being out there. Um, he's got great quickness. He's great strength. He's not maybe the biggest guy in terms of height, but he does have the ability to make, sudden movements and control the interior from there. His pass rush, I thought, really improved, particularly counter moves and things like that in the spring. So I think that's something that we can, continue to grow for him. But I saw a lot of growth there, and then, he does a great job of disengaging blocks and holding the point on run game.
So you mentioned how much he loves the game. From my experience, that becomes most obvious in the off season
Mm-hmm.
when you're working for the season.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know if that's consistent with college or not, but
yeah. No, I mean, he you can see. I mean, he loves the game. He loves, you know, a lot of guys don't maybe love the preparation, but they know the preparation is necessary for them to be able to go out and play their best. There are some guys who love the preparation, and sometimes they don't even love the games. Right? They love the working out part. But no, I think Denzel falls in the category of him. He loves practice and he loves the games. The working out to him, he knows is important because it allows him to play his best and allows him to play fast and physical and violent and everything. So um, now he's been a great worker and he won the Heart of the Lion award in the spring, which says a lot about his dedication. Because that's voted on by your teammates, so they vote on that. So which is great.
and then our fourth is Santana Saunders.
Yeah, obviously a ton of experience. Been here in that first class that we took. He's played a lot of football for us. And we're expecting him to kind of be, a leader of the offensive line this year. He's got great, athletic ability, uh, tremendous size and strength. This year is going to be a big year for him, and I think that he can go out there and play his best football for us this year.
All right, so part of the reason we wanted to do this today was to kind of educate fans on the off-season process.
Mm-hmm.
So once the season's over, what is the first step in the player coach process for the off-season?
Once the season is over,
Yeah.
well, really it starts before the season's over. I mean, once the regular season is over, I meet with every single player on the team over a 3-day period, and we just kind of figure out what's the future for both of us. Um, that's kind of a weird deal because you You still have the bowl game. You still have that sort of stuff. But the transfer portal is about to open, so you kind of go through it. So you meet with every single guy, and you go through. You know, some of those meetings are 10 minutes long. Some of those meetings are a half hour. You know what I mean? And so you just, so that I start those meetings at basically 7 a.m. and get done at 7 p.m. And you just kind of roll through. At that point, you have 116 guys on the team, so you roll through all of them, which is a task. Then they've got to finish their classes and things like that, and we go, into the spring semester. They get to go home for about 3 weeks. I mean, it's about 3 weeks. Go home for about 3 weeks, and then it'll just depend. A lot of times, when we get back, they'll have basically a week where it's optional workouts, but basically everybody's in there. And then from there, you go into our off-season program, and so you start working out, and you're lifting and you're running. It's a little bit more focused on lifting than it may be even now. But really, you're trying to prepare for spring ball, but you're trying to get bigger, faster, stronger. In that January time, the coaches are all recruiting. So what's weird is anybody who comes in during that time, the coaches may or may not even be here, right? So the people who recruited you, who you really know, may not even be around. So that can be a little bit of a challenging aspect for those guys. So we get into February. Now February, the coaches come off the road. Now you're really focused on your own players. The coaches are doing self-scout. They're doing those sort of things, trying to get better. And then we're reteaching everybody the defense, reteaching everybody the offense, reteaching everybody the special teams. We'll have things that are called mini camps where we'll do some drill work and things like that. We don't have footballs at that time, and we're not allowed to use other equipment. But there's a lot of agility work and trying to teach and some walkthroughs and things like that. Going into April, on spring ball, which is 6 weeks, 15 practices, 6 weeks, 3 times a week. They'll still be lifting during all of that. And then as soon as spring ball is over, we have those meetings again that we talked about in December. We have all those same meetings with everybody on the team again to see what the future is, because the second transfer portal opens up. So that time they finish all their classes and doing those sort of things. And then at that point, they basically get all of May off. And so that's kind of a nice time to recharge. And then this year we got back at May 30. We got back on Memorial Day, May 27th. It's a 9-week period. You get 8 of 9 weeks to say, all right, we're going to say, you get to designate 8 of a 9-week summer period. So we go 8 weeks. Those are mandatory. The 9th week, they're off. That's July 3rd through July 9th. So we basically give them off Wednesday to that Tuesday. And then they get basically 2 days off, and then you go into camp. This year, camp starts on July 30th because our game is a little earlier. So that's a meeting with non-football, and then we get going into it. So it's a year-round thing for them. I mean, they do get a little, that May period is where they get to, kind of recharge and do that sort of thing.
So between the end of the season and when camp actually opens, are there diet changes and workout plan changes, and how do they get developed?
Yeah, Coach Snodgrass does all that. He's going to give them different workouts based on what position they play, based on what their weaknesses are, based on what time of year it is. All that stuff changes. Right now, yeah, we're trying to get bigger, faster, bigger, faster, stronger, but we're really also trying to get in shape, right? We need to make sure that by the time we get to July, that our guys can not only not get through a full practice, that they can, dominate and excel in a full practice. So, the biggest maybe weight gain time is during the winter. There'll be a little weight gain during this time, especially depending on how old they are. Younger guys tend to gain a little bit more weight during this time. And when we're talking about weight gain, we're talking about muscle mass weight gain, not anything else, right? They're trying to really keep their body fat down and gain good weight. So, it Coach Snodgrass does all that stuff.
All right, so I know most people that age have this problem was they're either burning it too fast, so they'll spend all summer getting bigger, and then once camp comes around, it's hard to keep on.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other guys who have the exact opposite problem where they can't stop putting weight on. How does that balance throughout the year?
Well, I mean, if you can't stop putting weight on, it kind of depends what position you are. I mean, you know, if the powers above are saying that you need to keep gaining weight, then maybe we need to change positions. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's all good weight, that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're really working hard, it's hard to keep putting on bad weight, and the way we run and the way we do things, that's really not a factor. So I would say that for the other guys who need, you're trying to put on good weight, and what I mean by that is like we weigh in every day, and we're not trying to get them to gain a pound a day, right? That's insane. That's not good weight. It's water weight, which that's going to go away quickly. We're trying to get them to gain consistent weight throughout, so that it is something that can be maintained throughout the season. Yeah, you're going to probably lose a little weight during the season, partially due to like mental stress. Um, but you'd like not to lose that much, right? I mean, you'd like it to be really become your what your body composition is, and as long as the guys continue to eat the right way, meaning breakfast and really 4 to 5 meals a day, um, real meals a day, then they'll be all right. So it just, you can keep that weight on if you do it the right way.
Then obviously another big part of the off season and bringing all these new guys, other than teaching them the playbook, is teaching them how to rest and recuperate the right
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our guys are doing a pretty good job of that. I mean, obviously, I think every college student, and then every, um, I know myself. I mean, I don't sleep enough, um, so that's something we're always trying to educate them on is the importance of sleep. Um, that's a constant battle. We do a pretty good job of actual recovery in terms of getting in cold tubs, getting ice on, making sure we're in the training room. You guys were able to see it. We get the recovery boots on and things like that that help the guys' legs out. Um, Stretching, using the Theraguns, all those sort of things. Our guys do a really nice job of that. I would say that sleep and just making sure we're getting enough calories and proper nutrition are the things that will be, we've gotten better, but it'll be something that'll be a constant battle from now until I retire. So.
All right. You want to add anything, Aaron? All right. So these next few weeks until, or I guess the next 8 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
what are the biggest things you're looking for from this team?
Just it's about coming together. Obviously, you have a lot of new faces. You have some guys that are going to have some new roles who were here. It's about coming together and being a cohesive team, being able to um, call each other out when guys aren't doing the right thing, trusting each other that we're going to do that when somebody is telling me something that they're doing it for the best of intentions, and then just building just that trust and cohesion is really the main thing you're trying to get done. Obviously, you're doing that through hard work, right? And so, you know, our guys came up with a thing, RFG, relentless focus and grit. That's what they say that they want our team to be known as. Well, those things are going to be built over the summer. It's hard. You have to have that relentless attitude to be able to go 8 weeks in a row of working hard over the summer. When it starts to get 90 degrees, 90 plus degrees, and the humidity's hot, and you've done a running workout for how many times in a row, particularly in July when the coaches, the strength staff's still here, but the coaches are mainly gone, right? So now that becomes, you're coaching, you're not coaching yourselves, but you're building that between each other. And I think that's a really important part of it. And that's throughout the country that guys are gone. And I think it's an important part because ultimately those guys are on the field together, right? And so they need to be able to learn how to communicate with each other and learn how to get that growth with each other and those sort of things. So that relentless and that focus, and then obviously the grit, the toughness of what you're gonna have to do to get through that. Some of those workouts you're gonna have to grit it out for the last, you know, couple of reps. And I think that's where summer really shows, like, all right, who's going to be the guys that shows the players who's going to be the guys we can count on. Like, who do I know when we're out there together, this guy's going to do his job, and I know he's going to do his job. And I think that's where the winning teams really make strides.
So 100 plus guys on a team, camaraderie really is important. Leadership's important.
Mm-hmm.
Most of these guys coming out of high school were probably one of their high school's the best players from their high school ever.
Mm-hmm.
And they were probably always one of the leaders on their team. How hard is it for those guys to come in and accept a follower role? Or do you guys have a lot of issue of guys pulling for that leadership?
Um, I think that leadership is something that has changed over the years as parenting and other things have changed over the years. Back in, you know, not too long distance past, guys would go outside, they play a lot of pickup ball, not only basketball, football, baseball. Um, shoot, depending on where you are in the country, hockey. Um, and you'd pick teams, and there'd be no parents there. The rules were decided on the field, all those sort of things. So there was a lot more peer leadership. As the advent of AAU and everything has happened, parents, we've eliminated that from the kids. It's and everyone wants to get mad at kids, like, oh, they never go outside, they never do anything. That's not true. They play more than ever, right? I mean, there are some of these kids that do travel 2 or 3 different travel sports over their high school career. They're playing 60 lacrosse games over the summer while also playing on a 7-on-7 tournament for 7-on-7 team with football, and maybe they even have a basketball thing where they're playing another 30 basketball games. So, like, where is that kid supposed to go outside and do that? Like his body wouldn't be able to handle it. Like, of course he's inside playing video games when he's not doing those things, because what else is he going to do? Like, he can't be running around 24 hours a day. And so I think as we put all that stuff on there, we've replaced the leadership with, like, parental leadership. So a lot of our task is developing that, is getting that to go, like, all right, no, you're in charge. Like, what do you want? And those sort of things, because you just don't get, they don't get as many opportunities to do that as we did. And so I think that that's where a lot of that time has changed. The other thing is, like, in high school, a lot of times it's very defined. Hey, I'm the senior, and now I'm the leader. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the freshman, so I'm the best player on the freshman team, so I'm the leader here. Once I'm a sophomore, I'm not probably going to be a leader anymore. And then once I'm a junior, I'm maybe start to learn senior, I'm definitely in. Well, we can't really wait for that. We're trying to develop leadership with as many guys as we possibly can. So it's really the other way. We want to encourage everybody to feel like they're a leader, so that everybody feels like, we're all pulling in the same direction. And one guy falls down, another guy can pick you up. So it's more about us trying to find different ways to develop leadership than hold anybody back.
I'm very outdated on my beliefs then, because I guess it's that early 2000s thought where you have all these alphas in a room and they all want to be the leader,
Yeah.
and some of them are actually good at it, and some of them are not.
Yeah. I mean, you still have guys who are natural leaders. Don't get me wrong. It's just not as where we all develop those leadership things. It doesn't. They didn't get as many of those opportunities as we got, which didn't. I mean, that's just not. And everyone's like, well, that's not really good. That's everywhere. That's not. That's across um, any demographics that you can find. Like, if you just look, there's teams are scheduled for them, right? There's play dates scheduled. There's all this stuff scheduled. And so the leadership stuff that used to be, the parents have kind of replaced that thing, or school has replaced that thing. And instead of letting those things kind of naturally progress. So that's why it's a little bit different. I mean, it's still in there, right? The kids have the same mentality. We still have those guys. We just have to find different ways to pull it out of some of them.
And then I guess I never had a chance to ask you about this before, but 100 plus guys, you're going to have cliques. How do you balance that with against the team's goals?
We do a few things to change some stuff. Our locker room's not organized by like positions, so it's random. Um, our team meeting room is not organized by positions. It's also random, and we change it every semester. We change it for this summer. We'll change it again for the actual season. Um, so we do a lot of different things that way. We'll change when we go to our mini camps. We'll do one day of our mini camps, which is by position. The next day is a more random. So again, you're seeing different guys work out and doing those sort of things. So we just try to get guys around as many different people as possible. I think that's kind of the way. I mean, you're still going to have,
Yeah.
there's still going to be guys on your team you're better friends with than other guys. I mean, that's just the bottom line. I mean, um, that doesn't mean that you can't be great teammates with a guy. I mean, where I went to school, Cornell, we had two different fraternities in our football team, and of the guys on the team, 80% of them were in a fraternity. It was basically 40% in each. Um, and our fraternities didn't like each other. Like, I mean, the guys who didn't play football really disliked that particular other one. Reality of it is, some of my best teammates, some of the guys who I still have relationships with, some of the guys who I still think were incredible teammates, were in the other fraternity. You know what I mean? Like, we still got along great, because we still had the same goals of winning. The thing I keep trying to tell the guys, and the guys I do think know this, is, listen, we all have individual goals. Like, we all have things that we want to accomplish. Like, I think that it's a little naive to say, like, to have individual goals is selfish. We all have them. Like, so we can either accept that, or we can kind of ignore it and make them more. But what we have to understand is, with team success comes individual recognition. The better you are as a team, the more individual guys you're going to have recognized. And that's what I keep trying to put out there, and those sort of things. I stole that completely from a coach that I've been with before, Joe Moorhead. He talked about that all the time, but it's right. I mean, and so that's one thing that I keep trying to tell the guys. Like, listen, we all want to be great. We all want to have our own individual goals. Also, if we all reach those individual goals, our team's probably better, right? I think that Nick Saban did the best job of adapting to that part of it. Is, hey, you guys all want to play in the NFL? You guys all want to do this? Well, if all of you guys go into the NFL, our team's probably pretty awesome. You know what I mean? But how do you get to the NFL? By now sacrificing what you think is important so that the team is going to get better. That's how you're going to get there, because they're going to see you play within a team. They're going to see you making the tackles you need to make and all those sort of things. And so I think that's kind of the key.
All right. That's my last question. If you have a message for Monarch fans on at all, this is your chance to
Well, no,
share.
I just say, I mean, for Monarch Nation, I would love for us to sell out the stadium in every game. The one thing I would tell you, we may never have a home schedule like we have this year ever again. I mean, people talk about, when I first got here, it was like, oh, we got to get more regional opponents. It's all I ever heard. That's what'll sell the stadium out and all that sort of stuff. Well, I mean, I don't know what else we need other than, I mean, we have an in-state ACC opponent coming to our place. We have an in-state, conference opponent coming to our place. We have Georgia Southern, which we've played, and had some battles throughout the years, and people relate to, coming to our place. We have Marshall, who we've had some battles with, coming to our place. Like, this isn't we have ECU, which is a regional opponent coming to our place. Like, I mean, it's this is it. Like, so we need to sell the stadium out and that sort of thing. And I think that if we can do that, it'll send a great message to the rest of the country. I mean, that'll help me recruit. It'll help us get on TV more. It'll help everything if we can do that.
Awesome.